Allow me to introduce you to your new best friend in life and your new secret weapon, self-efficacy. I'm going to give you the definition, practical uses. By the end of this video, you're going to be able to change your life just like that. It's that easy. So, self-efficacy, my name's Sean, this is Airbnb Automated, and let's jump right in. Welcome back, Airbnb family. So self-efficacy is very much similar to something else that you're familiar with. It's called self-confidence. Well, what is self-confidence? Well, confidence in oneself is one's own belief in their own abilities and qualities. That's it. So it's kind of a two-dimensional framework here. Self-confidence matters, but it's lacking one key variable when it comes to change and to doing more than you've done now. See, self-efficacy is the belief in your ability and your control over a set of behaviors in order to achieve an outcome. So it's believing that you're in control. That's more than just believing that you're capable, isn't it? Right? Isn't that powerful? So let me give you some examples. And before we jump into the examples, obligatory, like this video, please. If you value this kind of content, please hit the like button, and this will help the video float along on the YouTube river, and other people will find it. It's helping the algorithm, per se. And by the end of the video, you might forget to hit like, so do it now. So let's give you some practical uses here. So self-efficacy, let me start with a nerdy white paper. This is kind of fun. So I've been doing some research on burnout, right? And this is where this comes from. There's something called the peak end theory. The peak end theory basically states that how stressful you think an experience was is based on the peak of your stress during the event and the end of the event and how stressful the end of it was. So those are the two most important parts of stress that matter. So if you're at the DMV and you had like a mediumly stressful situation, but the end was really nice and there was no spikes of stress, you're gonna have a positive view of your DMV visit compared to if you had a spike of stress, or more so a spike of stress at the very end, but everything else was super easy going. You'll still remember that event as more stressful, right? This coincides with self-efficacy because how you got through an event will actually influence your sense of control over future occurrences of that event. So if you succeed at something without having too much stress, your self-efficacy in regards to that event goes up, right? You feel like you have more control over positive outcomes. You're more willing to do it again. This may remind you of a past video that we did for our 50,000 subscriber celebration where we're giving away $1,000 still. Watch that video. But we're talking about hacking your dopamine in order to make you feel like you're a success when you learn stuff, right? So this leads into the 4 parts of building your self-efficacy. First is experience, right? You have a positive experience in a category, you'll have a positive sense of self-efficacy. Your higher self-efficacy makes you more willing to do things, right? It encourages you more to be experimental and to do more things. There is vicarious experience, and that's why a lot of people are on YouTube talking to other people who have already been there and done that. A lot of these how-to videos give you vicarious experience, where if I teach you how to build a 7-figure per year Airbnb business from my experience, you can mentally put yourself in my shoes, hopefully, and help you draw that line and make you feel like you're capable of doing it too. That's one powerful part of building your sense of self-efficacy, and that's why you're here on this channel, right? Third is social persuasion. And we talked about this in the 4 mental traps video, which is choosing the right people in your life. If you have people that are toxic and talk down to you and tell you you cannot do it, you will, even though you don't want to believe them, it will lower your sense of self-efficacy because you are being persuaded against your self-efficacy. Where if you have people who are uplifting and your parents and your friends are like, you can do it, we're proud of you, you try so hard, you're such a hard worker, you have such great drive, and they're telling you that you're in control, and so your effort is the reason why you're successful, and they're helping your brain get that positive feedback loop, that social persuasion increases your sense of self-efficacy, and you're more likely to succeed again. And then the 4th one is physiological cues. So in that video that we talked about how to rewire your brain, that's a dopamine hack, is essentially what that is we're creating anchors that get you to release dopamine on command, right? And when you release dopamine, that's basically when you play a video game, like if you're addicted to Candy Crush or Pokemon Go, which is something that I'm working on changing, when you win at little games, little trinket games, you get a dopamine kick. And that dopamine makes you want to continue to play the game because it felt good. This is the same thing with that past videos where dopamine hacking to increase what is your sense of self-efficacy in regards to learning, right? So you can actually use self-efficacy triggers in order to increase your willingness to pretty much do anything and your willingness to change. And that's really what this is all about, is if you want to change, you want to drop a habit, you want to pick up a new habit, you have to believe that you're in control, that if you try, that you'll succeed. Not just that you're capable, because a lot of people feel like they're capable or that they're a good person and that karma should give them justice, but they just don't feel like they're in control, right? So that's why self-efficacy supersedes self-confidence here. Let's talk about some benefits of self-efficacy. Well, the first most obvious benefit is it increases your just general sense of self-worth, right? It's kind of like how self-confidence works, but it encourages you to take more risks, right? It encourages you to train yourself to have that internal locus of control where you are responsible for your fate, and you can go out there and do things that other people don't do, take those risks, and you kind of get that glory from being an explorer in life, right? So I'm gonna give you a chart here. I'm actually gonna pull this up. So you're gonna also set higher expectations. One big part of self-efficacy is that change instantiation that we talked about. If you think that you can actually influence your future because you're in control, you will actually set the goal. And setting a goal is half the battle. If you do not set a goal to quit smoking, or you do not set a goal to wake up earlier, you do not set a goal to work out 3 times a week. I've got a friend, my best friend Sean Ray, the real estate agent, his screen background on his phone is like 10 or 12 things that he wants to do this year. And he has red X's and green check marks for what he's doing well and what he's not doing well, and he's holding himself accountable. What's cool about this is you can over-exaggerate your response to little wins, right? Some of your goals are gonna be small goals, like easily achievable, but don't tell yourself that, right? You don't have to tell yourself that they're easy. And you're gonna have some big, crazy goals. And as you hit your little goals, it'll make you feel like you're in control of hitting your goals. So your goal-related self-efficacy goes up, and you'll start to hit your bigger goals because you've created momentum with your little goals. I do this in my sales company. We tell newbies, people who are new to our sales organization, that here are your goals for the week, and here are your bonuses for hitting your goals. They don't know that the first 2 or 3 goals that they hit are like so simple, like so stupid simple, that it would take, I mean, you'd have to try not to win to hit those goals. So by hitting those goals though, thinking that they are average goals, because you assume that when somebody gives you a goal that there's a challenge there, when somebody blows by their first few goals, they're building up that momentum and their belief in themselves. They're like, oh wow, I'm really good at this. I'm meant for this type of work. So by giving somebody a little free money on the front end, we get way more performance on the back end, and they start to set goals that are even crazier. We basically teach them to dream. Right? To dream big, because they can't lose right now. And if you can set yourself up to the point where you can't lose because you have set little goals next to your big goals, you hit your little goals along the way, right? So belief in yourself allows you to even put those goals on your whiteboard. A lot of people don't even set goals because they don't think that they're in control. And that's a tragedy. You never even take that step forward. So next one. So we've already talked about the willingness to experiment and take risks. Because you feel like you're in control, you can do something that hasn't clearly been done before because there's a sense of faith in yourself there. And this is something that thankfully I've developed. I've got quite a strong sense of this because most everything that I've done in my life, no one has yet done it or showed me how. One of my biggest regrets is not having a mentor through my early to mid 20s, but what I came out of it with is this belief that pretty much I'm just going to do whatever I want to do, and I'm going to find a way to monetize it. I'm going to find a way to make it worth my time. And it's been going well because I have tried new things and the world hasn't exploded and I'm not homeless again. I'm feeling pretty good. And so that creates this positive feedback loop like we talked about in our brain hacking video. That positive feedback loop, it's kind of like reinserting more dopamine and giving me more reason to take even riskier endeavors and to keep, of course, leveling up and building that castle in the sky per se. Next. This is a fun one too, and this is a surprising one. A lot of my friends ask me how I do this, which is staying calm under pressure. So when you believe in your sense of self and your sense of self-control, when everything just starts going frantic around you, right? Like you don't necessarily understand why things are happening. Bad karma, when it rains it pours, Murphy's Law, bad things happen in threes, all that kind of stuff. We've all been there. Your ability to stay calm and kind of address the universe for what it is and just navigate your way through the chaos will increase your total outcome by the end of it. I give my friends advice, which is that even if you can't have 100% of what you want because something external happens, like let's say you lost your arm, right? Now you can't play professional tennis per se. Even though you can't have 100% of what you want anymore, you are still obligated to get 100% of what's left. Right? Still to live your best possible life, don't think about what you just lost. right? You have a whole pie in front of you and somebody takes a slice. You don't lament the slice that's gone. You still look at the other 5 slices of your pie, depending on how you cut it. And the rest of your pie is still yours. Do not waste the joy that is still your pie because somebody took a piece of it or the world took a piece, right? So if you can stay calm in the middle of stress, you can still get your best case scenario. And your sense of self-efficacy directly affects whether or not you think you can still get the most out of your situation. Even though your situation's changed and your plan has gone to shit, essentially, you still believe that you can. The top of this chart is claiming that by having high levels of self-efficacy, you naturally do better and it increases your feeling, your personal sense of well-being, right? So you will be more enlightened and more happy. And this, fluffy cookie, like fortune cookie stuff. And I think it really is true. I feel like I'm an optimistic person and I've always been happy, and it's really hard to take that away from me. One thing I'll tell my friends is I'm like Teflon, everything just rolls off my back. So let's wrap this all up. Self-efficacy transcends the simple notions of self-confidence or self-esteem. Most people are focused on those. They don't know what self-efficacy is. I want you to understand this concept because we're going to be doing more videos in the future where you need to understand what self-efficacy is, because we're going to start building upon this framework and you're going to have to implement this with other things that we're going to teach you, so that way you can pretty much become a CEO in weeks, right? That's the goal, right? Teach you some things here, build up your mindset, allow you to build your business, allow you to become successful, because it all starts up here, right? Rolling out of the bed in the morning starts up here. Building a 7-figure business starts up here. Living a happy life, choosing to be happy starts up here. It all starts in the mind. So take this, use it, love it. I hope you liked it. Remember to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you want to see the rest of what we're putting out in of course, success theory and cognitive sciences and stuff. I'm super excited to deliver you the other half of growing a business, not just how to build the Airbnb procedurally, but what it takes up here to get there. So once again, thank you for watching Airbnb Automated, and I'll see you on the other side.